Hello everybody, this is me Johan here. So what you're seeing right in front of me is the Honda City 2014 model. So this is the car I've been driving for a little over 9 years now. So before I go ahead, I just wanted to know how many of you own this model of the Honda City, the 2014, 2013 or 2015 versions of it, and what do y'all think about it? Let me know of it in the comments below. First, let's start off with the looks of the car. In a way, this car kind of reminds me of the BMW 3 Series of 2013. I think they made it look a little bit or appear a little bit like the BMW 3 Series, but it has its own originality nevertheless. So living with a car for 9 years is nearly spending a decade with it. So I've got a comprehensive idea of all the pros and cons of this car. So how has my experience with it been? Has it been good? Has it been bad? Or has it just been an average experience? Let's dive into it. Okay, let me start with the things I really liked about this car. Let's get inside. And as you can see, the one thing I have really loved about this car is its interior space. It's nice and airy and very roomy. Even in the front seat, and even the driver's seat position is really good. This does not mean the front seat alone. Let's check out the back seat now. As you can see, it is incredibly spacious even in the back seat. I mean, look at the amount of space that's there in the back seat, and the seats are nice and comfortable. And not only that, there's enough of headroom. I'm about 5 feet 10 in height. Even the headroom is really sufficient. And as you guys can see, the cabin in this car is very airy and very it's very spacious. This is not something I could say about Honda Cities in the past. This is an area where Honda really worked on improving the interior in the car. So this is an area I've been really satisfied in the Honda City. Another area I've been super satisfied with this car has been with the quality of the interiors. I mean, the interior quality in this car is really good. I mean, all this is obviously made up of plastic, and this is Alcantara over here. So this is the Honda City V version. It's not a VX, it's the V version. The VX has got a sunroof, and this doesn't have a sunroof, and you have the push button to start as well. You don't have it on the V version rather. So you can just see this. Can you even believe this car is 9 years and a few months old? I mean, just look at the plastic, everything. It's aged so well in this car. It's just hard pressed to say that this car is that old. It just goes to show the kind of quality of interiors Honda have actually put together in this car. Really high class quality. I mean, I'm not trying to do a comparison or anything like that, but I see many other car companies within just a few years, 4 or 5 years, where the plastic paint starts to wear off, or something or the other starts wearing off in the car. And just have a look at this. It still looks so well put together and intact. So I would give this as high as 8.5 out of 10 for the interior quality. One area I've not been surprisingly very satisfied in this car has been with the gearbox shifting quality. As you guys can see, most of the time it falls in its place, but at times I need to be putting in a little bit of effort to change gears, and at times, very rarely, they don't fall into the slot, or a little bit of extra effort needs, as you can see here, needs to be put in. So I expected more out of Honda over here. I mean, I've driven a lot of Hyundais and Maruti Suzukis and other car manufacturer cars, and the gearboxes on that are way smoother and way slicker than this. So this is an area where I've not been too satisfied in this car. I would just give this a rating of 6 out of 10. So this is the Honda V version. So this does come with the automatic climate control. And one area I have been super satisfied with this car from day number 1 and even till today has been with the air conditioning. I mean, this car has got an amazing air conditioning system. It really cools up the car so fast. I mean, the cabin gets cooled up in no time. As you guys can see, I've just put it on 1 right now, 2, 3. Let's move it up a little bit more. 4, 5, 6, 7. It is, as you guys can see, the blow is really good on this. But ideally, if you want the cabin to cool faster, bring down the blower to 3. Just set it at 3 and at 22, 23 degrees. And you know, it really cools up the cabin so quickly. And even during summers when the temperatures were as high as, you know, 38, 40, sometimes even 42 degrees, this car's air conditioning would, or rather could keep this car's cabin, you know, cool enough, you know, to shield you from the heat from outside. So this is an area I've been super satisfied in this car, and I would rate this as high as 9 out of 10. Another area of real, you know, satisfaction I've had in this car has been with its steering wheel. I mean, this is an incredible steering wheel. I mean, I've been so happy maneuvering this car for all these years. As you guys can see, I'm going to make a left turn right now. See, it doesn't feel very light. I don't ideally like power steerings that are very light. I mean, those steering wheels don't have any feel or any feedback of any such. This steering is such a steering that honestly, at times, you won't feel it's a power steering. But when you start using it, it's light, nimble. At the same time, it's not very light. It gives enough of feel and feedback. I mean, and when you're going, or rather when I'm traveling at good speed, say about 100, 120 kilometers per hour, it weighs up just enough for me to have ample amount of control at that time. So I think this is an area where Honda have got, you know, their engineering right. They really know how to make incredible steering wheels with amazing feel and feedback, and this car is no exemption. So I would give the steering wheel feel as high as 9 out of 10. Another area I've been really satisfied in this car has been with its drive. I mean, this car, it just drives like a dream. So I'm doing about, as you can see, about 20 kilometers right now, and I will shift it to the 4th gear. And as you guys can see, it can even nimble around at 20 kilometers an hour at 4th gear without necessarily vibrating, and it will smoothly nimble through like this. I mean, the engine is so well tuned and calibrated on this car, and the drive is, it's, you know, I would go as far as calling this car the BMW 3 Series of the common man. I mean, the common man who can't afford the BMW 3 Series, this is the next best equivalent to that. It's that good to drive. And I've driven many of these, you know, cars from Suzuki, from Hyundai, even from Volkswagen. None of those cars, believe me when I did, none of those cars have given me the feel that this car gives. It is in a league of its own as far as drive is concerned. If you're a driver and you really enjoy driving, I think the Honda City is the best car in its segment as far as drivability is concerned. 9.5 out of 10 for its drive. Right, so this road is relatively free, so I'm just going to do an acceleration test. As you guys can see, check out the power in the hood the car has, man. And not only that, and see how good the brakes are. I mean, just one step on the brakes and it's so efficient in the way it brakes. I mean, you know, I can be doing say 100 or 120 on this car, and the brakes, the second I apply the brakes, it would stop in such a linear manner. You know, it inspires so much confidence while driving. Now, regarding the acceleration, most of you would be wanting to know what are the acceleration times, you know, to 0 to 100, what is the top speed, what speed is it stable at, and what speed does it become uncomfortable, you know, driving. I'm going to take you guys through that as well right now. Well, I'm kind of caught in a bit of traffic right now, so anyways, I'll take you all through this. Now, this car does 0 to 100 as per Honda's claims in under 10 seconds, and many experts have actually driven this car and taken it to 100 in about 9.8, 9.9 seconds, which is extremely fast even to today's standards. And as far as high speed stability is concerned, this car is very stable till speeds of 160 kilometers an hour. Very stable. you're not going to feel much at all. Say 4 or 5 people traveling in the car. Right. Beyond that, it becomes a little bit uncomfortable. But then again, it has a lot to do with the kind of tires you're using. Because previously, this Honda was, until it did around 39,000 kilometers, it was riding on the tires that were given by the company. These were MRF tires. And to be very honest, those tires weren't the best tires. I mean, I was not necessarily getting the best grip on those tires. And the tires that they are on, I mean, this car is on right now, are Yokohama tires. And these are, believe me, way better. Way better than the tires or the previous MRF tires. And now the car, you know, is a lot more stable than what it was previously. So the type of tire you're using, again, is really important. And as far as possible, I would advise all of y'all who, you know, own this car or plan to buy this car or are owning this car to not go with MRF tires on this, because I didn't have the best of experience on that. The only thing I can really rate as far as the MRF tires were concerned is they just about got the job done. But these Yokohama tires, I must say, have given the car new life, or breathed new life into this car. So it's really important, you know, that you put a good pair of tires in your car. So that again can determine the drive quality, or rather the ride quality, right? Now this is a bit of a free road, so I'll just accelerate a little bit more. As you guys can see, even the high-speed stability on this car is really good. It's got excellent high-speed stability. I mean, till, you know, I've taken this car as high as 160. The fastest this car has done has been 170. My friend, you know, took it all the way up to 170. Even at 170, 5 people sitting in the cabin, the car felt, you know, reasonably stable even at that speed. You know, considering the fact that this isn't the heaviest of cars, you know, the high-speed stability even at that speed is not bad. So high-speed stability is also something in this car that is of great. Another area I've been super satisfied in this car is, you know, it's just got to be the engine refinement. I mean, I've halted the car right now. I'm in the midst of some traffic. See, I can barely hear the engine. You know, there are times where I need to actually switch off the air conditioning to check and see if the engine is on. Even still, I wouldn't know that the engine is on at times. And I'd actually have to accelerate for me to actually know that the engine is on at times. I mean, now you obviously know that it's on, right? So I gave it a good thought right now. Just check this out. AC on. It's at 2 right now. Even with the acceleration. See, this is just being idle. When I move the car, say if I'm doing 50, 60, 70, 80, even 100 for a matter of fact, on 5th gear, I cannot hear the engine on this car. This has an incredibly refined engine. The 1.5 liter IV Tech 20 horsepower engine by Honda. I mean, Honda definitely, as far as the Japanese car manufacturers are concerned, make the best engines out there. And this is an absolute, or has been an absolute gem of an engine that I enjoy driving even today. One area where this car will definitely feel dated when compared to the cars these days is the music system. As you guys can see, to this day and age, this is just a basic music system on this. It's not a touch screen or anything like that. It has no, you know, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. It's just a normal audio system. But said and done, the audio experience on this car has been amazing as well. It comes with 4 speakers, 2 in the front, 2 at the back, and 4 tweeters. And the audio on this car also sounds really good. Let's just play a song to give you guys an understanding of how good the audio system on this is. So I'll just increase the volume. And as you guys can see, it gets so loud. 32 is the maximum volume. It's really loud. 36 is 40 is maximum. So the sweet spot is around 15, 16. So I like listening to music, at a volume of 15 or 16. It sounds rich, clear, and pleasant to the ears. So I think that's really, really important when driving, as far as I'm concerned. So how many of you own this car and like the audio system in the car even today? Let me know of it in the comments below. Now, just getting back to the system alone, as you guys can see, it does have Bluetooth. We do have steering mounted audio controls on this as well. And yeah, there is the USB connector over here, aux connector, and power outlet as well over there. 12 volt at 180 watts maximum. So said and done, do I really care that this doesn't have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay? I don't really care about it. The reality is, I've put all my songs in USBs, and I'm glad to play my songs on the USBs even today. I don't really need Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. I have all my music in the USB, and I like it that way. And yeah, as you guys can see, you can even put CD inside this as well. That's almost become ancient these days, right? Putting a CD. I mean, CD has become a thing of the past today, right? But said and done, it gets a job done, and I have been really, really satisfied with this. I think that is the most important thing in all of this.
Well, all is not rosy with this car. As you guys can see, the shield just under the bumper, right? Now, this has been a big headache for me. And this has just come off on 4 or 5 occasions as of now. And, I gotta be so careful when driving this car. Whenever there's a bump or something in front of me, I just cannot go at whatever speed I want and just hover above it. And on many occasions I've done that, and this has come out. And it would be just scraping against the road, and it's been a complete mess whenever that's happened. So sometimes I feel I gotta drive this car like a sports car, slow down whenever a bump comes and go as slow as possible. So this has been a big headache. One area where Honda have been really generous with this car has been with its boot. I mean, just have a look at this. This is a huge boot. Huge as in it's over 500 liters. This is about 510 liters. So I can easily fit 3 big suitcases over here. Let it be long journeys or whatever. I've had no issues putting my luggage in the boot of this car because it's so big and so airy. So thumbs up in this area. And I would give the boot space in this car a rating of 9 out of 10.
Now, coming to the part of mileage, how much mileage does this car give? As mentioned, it's a 1.5 liter naturally aspirated engine that produces 120 horsepower. And from the onset, that's October of 2014 till now, it's more or less been giving me the same mileage. As you can already see, it's only done 40,000 kilometers, a little over that. Say in the city, driven modestly. I mean, I'm not a person who rips and drives. If you're engaged on 3rd and 4th gear constantly, at least 3rd gear, at speeds of 40 to 50, if you can maintain that speed, the car with the AC on returns a mileage of approximately 10 kilometers per liter. That's all it gives. But on the highway, that's what really surprised me about this car. If you can maintain speeds of, anywhere between 90 and 100 kilometers an hour, this car returns a mileage with the AC on of 17 kilometers per liter, 17, which I think is an amazing figure overall. Lastly, for people who drive very fast, you guys must be wanting to know how much it would return. For an example, I've maintained between 120 and 130 on this car on one given trip. And it returned an overall mileage of 13.5 kilometers per liter, 13.5 to 14 kilometers, which again I think is pretty good. So mileage wise, I've also been happy with this car. I would rate that as high as 8 out of 10. Now, coming to a very important facet in the car, how has the service been? There are a lot of people that are under the assumption that Hondas are very expensive to maintain and stuff like that, which is true. The spare parts are a little expensive, but I'll get to that right now. Now, as far as service is concerned, see, on an average in the beginning, I was spending around 7 to 8,000 rupees for a service on an average. But as every machine ages, so does the parts, right? The wear and tear, general wear and tear, and all that stuff. So it has increased over time. So now the service cost on an average is between 8 and 10,000 rupees, and the service takes place once in 10,000 kilometers, and that's okay. It's not so bad. I mean, there are some people who are under the assumption that it costs a lot of money. I would call it in between. It's not as economical as Maruti Suzuki or Hyundai. At the same time, it's not as expensive, or I would call it literally ridiculously expensive as Volkswagen, which can cost you sometimes an upward of 20,000 rupees. So, service cost has been a decent experience with this car. I would not call it a dissatisfactory experience. It's not really burned the wallet or anything like that. So it's been a decent experience. Now, in terms of general wear and tear, what has happened? See, this I landed up changing the shock absorbers after 8 years, 2022. So that lasted for a period of 8 years. And I had done a little over 30,000 kilometers. Currently, the car has done, I'll just switch it out and show it to you all, over 40,000 kilometers as of now. As you can see, it's not been driven that much. I mean, a period of a little over 9 years, 40,000 kilometers is, the car's not driven all that much. Cars that are usually 9 or 10 years old would have easily covered 1 lakh and above kilometers. So the run has been average, I would say. But at the same time, there hasn't been too much of wear and tear in this car. The only thing that I had to be changed in this car was the shock absorbers, and just recently, just some time back, as already mentioned, the tires. That was after 39,000 kilometers. I've changed it. These MRF tires have been changed to Yokohama tires, which, as already mentioned previously, have given new life to the car, more or less. And yeah, that's about it in terms of the general vendor. As you can see, I've already mentioned this previously. The interiors have really held up very well on this car.
To conclude, is it worth buying a Honda City 2014 secondhand today? If you are someone who loves to drive and use your car mostly in the city and makes occasional trips here and there and have a budget of around rupees 6 to 7.5 lakhs, you can pick up a 2016 or 2017 model, which is essentially the same as this. If y'all can get a 2014 model that has done less kilometers as mine and driven by one person alone, you can go ahead and purchase my version. I've given y'all a detailed explanation of my over 9-year experience with the car. In my opinion, this is the best sedan in its class even today. It gets almost everything right. How many of you have my version of the Honda City today? How has your experience with it been? Feel free to share your experience in the comments below. So that's it for me today. Do subscribe and hit the notifications icon to see all of my latest content. Until we meet again, ciao for now.